So I think everyone's talking about 350 goals. That's a lot to try and remember in the career that you've had so far. In the career, hopefully, is going to go on for a bit longer.
Yeah, we hope so.
Have you got a special goal or a top three, or because you seem to keep records of...
Yeah, I'm quite good on them. As long as I get in the game in my head, I tend to know the type of goals I've scored and whatnot. I suppose I wouldn't say my favourite goal, but probably the one that's meant the most was my equalising goal for Reading against Brentford, which is sort of a famous goal because we ended up drawing the game and getting promoted. And for a Reading perspective, it's like the goal that, you know, basically set the club on route to what it's achieved since. And I think the impact it had on not just me, it was my first promotion, but the whole club, everyone involved, the staff, the players, the whole town. And I think as a one-off goal, which sort of meant so much, that has to stand out. My first goal against Chelsea, come on as a sub and scored after 13 seconds. That stands out as obviously what started my whole career, I suppose. It was a record at the time, I think, in the Premier League, but I think Sean Goater beat it. I think he come on and scored after 10 seconds. So that was my one massive claim to fame. I held the record. So that one stands out. And then just all round, I just enjoyed all of them, I suppose. I've scored a fair few, like my third on Saturday. I don't mind scoring volleys and lobs and stuff, as probably people know who followed me. But yeah, all of them are the same. I enjoy them, whether it's scoring in the Premier League, scoring, you know.
You still get the same buzz from scoring?
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously different because you're in a massive stadium at times, big crowds, and you know that sort of makes it certainly different. But in general, the buzz that I get inside, the feeling, scoring week in, week out, and scoring for Stortford, going home, you know, I've been buzzing all weekend and all week, you know, since my hat trick. So yeah, as a personal note, it still really means a lot to me because, you know, it's what I'm sort of known for. It's normally why I'm in teams, is to score goals. So when I'm doing that, you know, it's good. I'm doing my job, and yeah, I've from a kid scoring against garages to scoring in, you know, the Premier League, the feeling sort of stays the same. I was always a goal hanger when we used to play as a kids and stuff. I've just, for some reason, just always been attracted to scoring goals.
You seem to, on Saturday, get almost as much enjoyment from setting up or being involved with Luke Callender's goal. And I think that seemed to really help his game as well. He seemed to get visibly lifted after that.
Yeah, I think it's being a striker, you know, when you come sort of to a new club, or especially coming back to a club where you've been at, first goal's massive. And I know he's probably got a bit of stick, so I knew what it meant to him. So yeah,
he was working really hard though.
Yeah,
he
definitely.
deserved it.
I think so, and like I say, as a striker, you always want that first one to go in. You know, however it goes in. You know, if you come to a club, you want to get it out of the way, and then it's done. People aren't always on your back, and you know, thinking it in your head. You know, when am I going to score? So I felt probably in all the games we played, that's the best we played together. So it's great for him to get his goal. And yeah, obviously being sort of joint manager as well, I get a different sort of buzz now because it's my team and I want us to win. Not saying I didn't when I was playing, but there's sort of an extra spice to it now. So yeah, I was delighted, you know, not just for my goals and my performance, but for the win. You know, it's another massive win for the club, so I'm enjoying that side.
Do you have a particular preference for the type of strike partner you have? I know in some games you've played on your own, you've played with Jake this year and with Luke Callender and also with Alfie Mason, and you seem to have had a good understanding pretty quickly with all of them. Is that something that you work on in training, or you just talk to each other?
Yeah, I think it's more talking, and my game sort of doesn't change, I suppose, who I play with or I play on my own, because I'm always quite direct, want to play on the shoulder, want to run in behind. So the partners that I tend to play with tend to do the opposite. They more want to get it to feet or bigger. So my game sort of doesn't change, so it's quite nice. I think I've enjoyed going back to playing with the big man. That's how my career started. It was always a little man, big man, played 4-4-2, and we've sort of gone back to that. So I've enjoyed that. Cass was great. Big physical guy, mobile, you know, won his headers, occupied defenders, and then it gives me a lot more space. Luke's similar, obviously a big lad, attracts people. And Alfie, as much as he's small, he's still quite a physical presence.
Very strong, isn't he? You know,
likes to come short, and it allows me space. So it's worked with all of them, to be honest, and even on my own. We did it at Potter's Bar. We played sort of one just behind me, Brownie, and I think we did it at Mersham, and it does work. I think as long as the team behind me understands how I play, then it works. You know, you're not going to just keep smashing balls down defenders' throats, but as long as we play beyond them and follow my runs, it works. So I'm sort of happy in all roles, but I think at the moment what's working probably the best is playing with a big man.
Yeah. It's we got, as Ben was saying, we got some questions on Twitter. One is from a guy called Noah, Noah Horwood, I think his name is, and he's asking about how you interact and messages maybe that you have for the youth players coming up through the ranks. People like Alfie and
I tend to speak to Alf. Ollie as well now has come in. Who's only obviously a young lad. So I try and just talk to them before games. Just pass on my experiences and, you know, try and just say, you know, be calm, relax, you know, don't get too caught up in the situation. Ollie, when he come on the other day, I knew he was desperate to score and was snatching a bit. And I think you've got to sort of, just when you're involved now, especially as a young lad, just not like think that it's your last chance, your only chance. There will be others, so just take your time in it. You don't have to, you know, be the best in that incident. So I think that's helped them, and I think them being around a lot has helped. And like I say, I'm always there for them and try and help, and any advice they need on, you know, whether it's in football or how they live outside of football. So yeah, I think it's worked, and it's nice. You know, I'm at that age and that experience where you know, I'm here to hand it on, and you know, I'd like nothing better than the young boys to come in and then move on and you know, have good careers in football.
So Noah's got another question, and he's asking what's your best moment so far at Bishop Stortford? Would it be the last goal on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll probably say that the whole experience. You know, we had some good experiences last year when I come in, but I think on a whole, probably the game and me scoring a hat-trick, my first hat-trick for the club. So yeah, in that whole sort of incident, scoring the third, because I didn't actually think about it being my 350th. I knew I was on 347, but once you're involved in the game and scoring, you're not really thinking of the targets. Yeah. So that one going in was a personal milestone, the hat-trick and the win. So yeah, I'd probably say that moment and just the whole game, because I thought 4-0 probably at the time. It could have been 5 or 6, and 4-2 flattered them. It was an all-round really good performance by us, and it was nice to see.
No, I totally agree. Another question from one of our fans on Twitter, a guy whose handle is @DavidHarris. As a player manager, what league position are you guys aiming for this season? Do you have a target for league? You got targets for goals?
Yeah, I suppose we haven't set a target as a club. Since we've taken over, it was a case of stabilising because we were in not a great place. Now we're suddenly joint fourth. So me being as ambitious as I am, I want us to aim for the top 5. If we can finish in the top 5, that gives us a chance of going up. I feel we're good enough. We've managed to sort of get a real good 16 players together now, and I think we've got a good squad. Obviously luck comes into it, injuries, stuff like that, but we don't talk about it. But within the group, I think we know that there's a good opportunity now. We've put ourselves in a really good position, so I wouldn't say we'd be disappointed if we didn't make it, but it's something at the moment while we're up there, then yeah, that's a real target for us, that if we can finish in the top 5. If not, then I think anywhere in the top 10, I would imagine from how we started the season would be good. But I'm always one that likes to push and have targets and want to achieve things. So yeah, I'm sort of in my head hoping that we can be up there and going for promotion.
So I think it seems to a lot of fans and people around the club that the transformation since the last manager left and you got involved with Steve and with Jim Duggan as well, it's been quite a dramatic transformation. Are you as a group doing anything radically different from what Adam did at the start of the season, do you think? Is there a change in the style of play, or is it a formation change? Or
I don't know. I think we've done a lot. The more we've gone along, we've done a lot more. Not what I'd say drastic, but just little things, and I think the little things have really made a difference. Formation sort of stayed the same. We've changed a few positions, people playing in different positions. John Ville was playing right back early in the season, and he's now been one of our best centre midfielders. So that was one of the changes we made. Jack's come in, who wasn't playing regular. I knew what he could do. and just give them different information. I think I'm very much sort of a man managing sort of type, so I speak to the boys a lot individually, seeing how they are, what they need, if they're happy, chat to them about their game, you know, is there anything we can do. So I think that's helped them. I've made them more involved, and then we've given them direction. So it's all right playing a formation, but I think we've given direction within the formation, what we expect from the positions that we play in, how we play. So, you know, anyone can play any formation and just go, here's your formation, here's your team, go and play. But you need a direction and a way of playing and a style, and I think we've tried to give them that. We've made it quite simple, but very effective, and the boys have bought into it, and I think we've been good. We've had a sort of a president of saying that, you know, we won't change things for the sake of changing them. If you're playing and you're playing well, you get your shirt. So we've tried to give them that. You know, certain times, probably only one time it's maybe changed, but in general that's sort of been our line, and I think they've bought into that and enjoyed it. So yeah, so it's not like I've said there's one massive drastic change, but I think there's been a lot of little ones along the way, and I think they've all really made a difference. And from what I hear from the fans, or from what Jim tells me, because he's obviously local, that they've seen a difference. They've enjoyed the team playing. They've seen that they're playing more together. We're a bit more exciting. So fans have actually enjoyed it. Where I think the first maybe 7 or 8 games when Adam was in charge, that they weren't enjoying the football. They thought we were individual. There was a lot of like breakdowns, and I think since we've taken over, which is nice, people have said, "Oh, we've given them sort of Stortford back." And you know, as a manager type thing, that's obviously nice to hear.
So how would you just describe each of the three of you, your roles? Obviously, when you're playing from the start, your role is very different,
yes,
to Jim and Steve, and it is, I suppose, certainly in the history of the club, it's unusual to have a guy that's involved as an owner of the club, as a director of the club. Steve takes on a lot,
yes,
you know, and to then be on the touchline as well. He clearly loves doing it. You know, how does that work? Who does what?
I suppose we all do a little bit of everything. Team-wise, me and Steve chat. I chat to him every day, sometimes more than once. We chat a lot about what we're doing, about players coming in, players going, formation. Squads, the 11 that we've spoken today already about the 11. So we chat a lot. So we'll come down to an agreement between that, what sort of 11 we're going to go with. Jim's obviously involved in that as well. And the formation. So I tend to do more the squad list type things, the times, let everyone know what we're doing, and then I'll do the team, and I'll do more of the tactic stuff, who's where in corners, set pieces, you know, all stuff like that. And when we get to the ground, we'll all sort of speak, me and Steve, so depends who goes first. Steve's more of the motivator type, bit more bad cop, I would say, and I'm probably a bit more of the good cop. So he will do his bit, and then I'll go in and name the team, tactics, give them a bit more information of the opposition, of what we want, what we expect, and Jim goes in as well on more the tactical side. So between the three of us, it sort of works.
Yeah.
I've obviously got to sort of get my head on playing as well, so I tend to get there, especially home games, very early, get myself ready, sort of match-wise, so when I do speak, I'm not then speaking and then thinking, oh, I've got to now get myself ready for a game. So that's been the only sort of difference, really. I'm obviously getting my game head on, where Steve and Jim are more sort of focused on the boys. But yeah, it sort of gets split around, really. And it's worked, you know, and we try and sort of talk at half-time to sort of preempt stuff. If we're going to make decisions, we can talk before we go into the change rooms, right, this is what might happen in 60 minutes, 70 minutes, these are the subs we'd like. And I know it doesn't always work, but we'll have the conversation before we go into the changing rooms, and then we have our discussion at half-time and sort of get going again. So yeah, it is drastic, and I suppose it's very unusual. You've got an owner, a player manager, and a coach. So I'd imagine there's not many player managers around, and then you've not got many owners that are standing on the touchline. So it is different, but I think Steve went into it, and when he made the decision and told me what he wanted, he was like, me and you will do it. And I was like, fine. There wasn't a plan. It was like, we'll do it for now, and we'll see how we go. And I think because it's worked so well, Steve's probably thought, well, there's no point changing it. Whether he wanted to sort of step away and go, here you go, let me take it. There was no point bringing anyone else in, because it costs you more money. They then might have new ideas where it was working. So I think for now, I would imagine this will probably carry on till the end of the season. I don't see it changing. And then the decision, Steve won't I can't see Steve doing it again next year. So the decision will be, I suppose, does he say, do you want to do it? Or does he look outside and bring someone else in? And obviously we'll see what happens at the end of the season.
So for the first few games, I think you started on the bench, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was that a conscious decision as to sort of get your head ready for looking at the game differently, and then maybe bring yourself on when you needed to later on?
Yeah, that was the plan, because we had a cup game. So I sort of said to Steve, well, there's no point in me playing. Let's play some of the boys that haven't played. So I think we started a lot of players that Isaac hadn't played a game. He started and then ended up playing the next 11 games. So we did change things around. And then the problem we had was we won. So the next game, I'd scored 2 the previous week as well, and then we'd won. So that was where we thought, right, okay, there's no bigger statement than to go, this team plays the next week, and you leave the manager out who's top goal scorer, not been. So that was sort of what it was. We thought about it a lot and thought, yeah, that's the best thing to do. So the next 3 games I didn't play, even though I come on in another one and scored, and because we'd won, we kept the same team. But that was sort of the start and how I've wanted it to come across, that there's no one bigger than the team. So even me as a manager, if I feel I'm not playing well, I'm out of form, I won't play. And you know, that's sort of what I wanted it to be. I didn't want, oh, it's Jamie's manager, he's always going to play. No, that's not it. And if I'm playing poorly in a game, I'll come off. And I've got no problem with that. And I think that sends out the right message to the group. And I think for the first 3 games it did that. And then all of a sudden we went on a great run, and you know, unfortunately come unstuck at Potter's Bar. But I think by doing that early, I think it gives the boys to go, oh, okay, this is what we got. We're a close-knit group. You know, I think you're going to play on merit, and I think that helped. And I think that's why at the moment we're going on good runs. Even when we've lost, we've bounced straight back, and I think that shows now that we've got a real togetherness.
No, I totally agree. It's a good squad, as you say, but it is quite a long, hard season. There's a lot, you know. Certainly, from your point of view, you know, you're going to attract a lot of attention from defenders. Not that you don't already.
Yeah.
Are there any plans to kind of reinforce the squad? Are you going to see how it goes in the short term and keep your options open?
Yeah, I think it's more. We've got down to sort of 16. We've maybe 17 now, and I think we're quite happy with that. I know it's a small squad, but I didn't want people sitting out. When I basically took over, I think we had 24 players. Not all signed, but all in. We were coming here training, there was 24 players. So the first sort of thing we done, I sat down with Steve and I gave him a list of players that I thought not so much weren't good enough, but we had too many. So I think within the first week or two, 6 or 7 went. So we cut it straight down, and then I think we've improved it individually and let others go as we've improved it. So at the moment, I think we're quite happy, but I understand if there's an injury. Steve's been brilliant. That if something does come up, I think we will just reinforce if we need to, but I don't think we'll reinforce with no need. At the moment, we're quite happy with the squad. There might be another couple of changes depending on players that come up. You know, sometimes good players are available, and I know we're getting a lot of calls of players wanting to join us because we're doing so well. And there probably are good players, but at the moment there's no point bringing people, because all you do is bring one in, one goes. I don't want to do that because the boys that have been here have got us in this position. But yeah, we've got there are a lot of players out there that we could take that probably are better, but we're quite happy. And I think that we know if we come across an injury crisis or someone, you know, puts a 7-dayer in and someone goes, we know that people want to come and play for us. So I think we'll just try and keep it at 16, and if things happen, we just keep changing it. I don't think we're suddenly going and reinforce and get another 3 players in, unless I'm talking to you in sort of February and we're 3rd in the table and got a chance to go up. Then potentially I'll be knocking on Steve's door and saying, listen, let's get 2 players in to keep us together to see what we can do, because you don't get many opportunities to get promotions. So if we're still in the same sort of position we are now, you know, turn of the year, sort of end of Jan, Feb, then you're sort of going, okay, we've got a real chance now. And then I'd imagine Steve and the club would be more than happy, because, like I say, these things don't come around that often. And you know, I feel we're a Conference South club and we should be up there, but you don't get given it. So it's a tough season for us. But if we can be in and around it, then I don't think many teams will want to play us.
It does feel like there's a lot of ambition coming out of what you're saying, and the messages from how you and Steve seem to interact. It looks like, you know, we're bouncing back to where we think we should be.
Yeah, I think so. I think Steve knows I'm quite a positive and driven man. You know, that's sort of how I've been in my career. So when I took on the role, I wasn't taking it on just to do it and bide my time. I was taking it on to do something. You know, this is a massive sort of, you know, chance for me in my career. Still playing, but now all of a sudden being given the reins to manage a club. There was no way I was going to do it half-heartedly. So he knows I'm ambitious. He knows that I feel that the club is in a good state. It's got great facilities, great catchment area. Like I say, it's a club that, you know, when you see some of the clubs in the Conference South, Bishop Stortford should be in it, and then pushing to get out of that one. So he knows that there are things that I'll be pushing for if I stay in the role, and I think Steve wants that. You know, when you're the owner of a club, you want it to be as high as possible. So yeah, hopefully after, you know, the relegation and last year not being a great season, hopefully we're turning things around. We've got, you know, positiveness coming out of the place. You know, putting together a good squad that the place can be proud of, and then the next step is to now start achieving stuff and getting out of the league.